self-improvement is broken, man. And as a result, it's most likely broken you as well. You know, all the motivational videos, the hustle culture, everyone telling you always be productive, have the best morning routine, always be the best version of you. Like, it's just done nothing but left you feeling more stressed, more anxious, become a perfectionist, and you might even be feeling depressed because it's like just information overload. You don't even know what to do with it. What was supposed to add life and energy to you has done nothing but left you feel burnt out. And the reason why this is because there's a huge missing piece of self-improvement that nobody talks about. And without this missing piece, the journey of you changing your life and trying to level up will just continue to feel like shit. So in this video, I'll be breaking down what that missing piece is, and most importantly, how you can apply that to your life so that you will no longer feel like shit and you can finally have some inner peace whilst you're on your journey, man. So without further ado, let's get into it, man. The first thing I'm gonna address is something that no one ever really talks about, and it's the fact that the whole idea and concept of constantly growing and constantly improving, like the addiction to growth of in of itself is a problem because it causes you to unconsciously start looking for and creating problems for you to solve, just so you can feel better, just so you can feel like you're making progress, just to flatter your ego. And that's a lot of things that people don't realize. Like, life will be going fine, and then all of a sudden they feel this, maybe it might be a motivational video or something, and they're like, oh, I need to be better, I need to level up, I need to make more money, this and that. Before, you know, they were calm, and then all of a sudden they've got all this stress, all this anxiety, all these, you might even start overthinking about certain things because, you know, you're addicted to growth. And now you've created more problems, you've created more mental disharmony when there doesn't need to be such an addiction to something that is a natural process. Like, look around nature. Like, I'm in the park right now. Everything in life, everything in nature just grows naturally. You don't have to force it. You don't have to constantly be looking for growth, because a lot of people don't realize as well that growth and adversity are almost one of the same things. Like, in order to grow, sometimes a prerequisite to that is adversity. Like, look at plants, for example. In order for a plant to grow, it has to overcome, it has to break through the earth itself. That's adversity. In order for a muscle to grow, it has to go through strain, pain, thousands of tears. You know, it has to break down before it then grows and becomes stronger, more capable to handle whatever weight or load comes after. It's the same thing with growing and self-development. Like, a lot of things in life, in order to grow, sometimes you have to go through adversity. So the more you become addicted to growth, the more you become addicted to self-improvement, is the more you invite adversity into your life. And adversity in of itself isn't a bad thing, it's a great thing, because again, because it goes hand in hand with growth, it often leads to growth or improvement in whatever area of life that you're trying to improve in. But to constantly be going through adversity, to be constantly feeling, you know, anxious or constantly be overthinking, like, it's not healthy on a man. So that's the first thing I want to address, is the addiction to growth. You always got to be careful and just be aware, like, of your state of mind. Like, 24/7, you don't need to be focused on growing and improving and this and that. Like, there's a balance. Like, this will go into my next point now, which is the first thing that is really important about self-improvement, and is a contributing part of the missing piece. And the two most important words in self-development are self-knowledge and then balance. Self-knowledge comes first because you cannot have balance without knowing yourself. Like, what are you balancing if you don't even know, like, yourself, your tendencies, your thinking patterns, your habits, your diet? There's so many things that contribute to the way that you think, the way that you move, the way that you act. So in order to have balance, you gotta know yourself first. And why this is so important in self-improvement is because there's so many people telling you what to do. They'll tell you to sleep a certain amount of time. They'll tell you, especially like science as well. Like, I'm not going to go against science and that we need it in a society, but for some reason people forget to experiment after they read experiments. So they'll read a peer-reviewed study, and just because of the natural way us humans deal with authority, we just feel like these scientists have are authority figures, so whatever they say goes. So if they say, oh, science has developed to say we should be sleeping 8 hours, all of a sudden you're there trying to make yourself sleep 8 hours, but it might not be the best for you. That's a key thing with self-knowledge. Is self-knowledge is more powerful than what anyone else can tell you, because that's the way you're wired and the way that you're created and the way that you're programmed is optimized for a certain way. So for me, for example, I don't sleep 8 hours. The best amount of sleep for me is 6.5. And I found that out through years of just experimenting and documenting how sleep, how food, how different things affect the way I think, affect the way that I move, affect my performance, my training, and optimizing based on that, not what someone else has told me. You feel me? Like I've tried 8 hours, I've tried 9 hours, I've tried 7, I've tried all of this over time, and it's developed into what it is now. But that's another thing. Like you really got to develop this almost file on yourself, like knowing the best food to eat, knowing how long you should be sleeping, knowing like just everything about yourself. And shout out to 19 Keys, because this is where I found out about this exercise, but this is something you can do, which is like a file on self, where you can keep a notes folder on your phone, or you can even have like note cards or a notepad or something, and throughout the day just document, thoughts that you're having, document habits or patterns that you've noticed, document how you feel throughout the day, document when you feel most creative, when you feel antisocial, when you feel energized, when you don't feel energized. Like just document it all, because once you do it enough times, you'll start to notice patterns and habits in yourself, and you can optimize your life and optimize everything that you're doing based on that, instead of what all these gurus and science and all of this shit's telling you. I know so many of you relate, man, like of trying to be perfect, trying to have the best routine, trying to be the most productive, and just holding yourself to this such a high standard that every time you slip up or fall off, you end up beating yourself up, or you end up just feeling like shit, like you're not good enough, and you even start ruminating on these thoughts, start feeling more anxious or overthinking. Trust me, man, I've been there. Like I remember in 2021 when I was really embarking on this journey. I think the first spiritual book I read was Asking It's Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Shout out to that book, man. That was like the first spiritual book that I read, apart from the Bible and The Alchemist. But, the key takeaway I got from that book was the whole concept and theory of allowing. Like your ability to manifest, your ability to get the things that you want is directly tied and correlated to you allowing it to come to you, releasing any inner resistance you have towards it, whether that's, self-limiting beliefs or just negativity in general. So after reading that book, I found myself always asking myself, am I allowing right now? And it was a good thing as a start, because it developed my self-awareness. It made me conscious of my thoughts, of my feelings, of my emotions, and it helped me be present throughout the day. But then I got into this negative spiral where if I wasn't allowing, if I didn't feel good, or if my mind was just racing with thoughts, then I'll start to feel bad, because obviously this perfectionist tendency developed in me from having to always trying to be my best self, always trying to allow. Because if I wasn't allowing, that meant I weren't manifesting what I wanted I weren't getting what I wanted. So, I know how it feels, man, like being on a self-improvement journey and just feeling terrible, feeling miserable anytime you fall off or anytime you don't live up to your own standards. That's something I truly relate to, man. Like, fam, I used to write down the exact tasks I was gonna do the next day, the duration I was gonna do it, the order I was gonna do it. And for some reason, every time when it came time to execute, in the morning or whatever, I just feel like this sense of internal resistance. Like I can't even start, or I just feel like there's something holding me back. And I never understood why. So I kind of enjoyed that for a moment, and then it just got to a point where I was like, fuck this. So I went to the opposite side, and instead of writing down tasks before the next day, I would just not plan the day at all and just wing it and kind of figure it out as I go. But the problem with that as well was that I found myself using excessive mental energy trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So I experienced both sides of the spectrum of, planning the day to every minute, to every hour, And then the opposite side of planning, like, is non-existent. And the thing I found with not just that, but a lot of things in life is that naturally I feel like we have to experience both sides of an extreme in order to naturally end up in the middle. Because naturally as humans, we're wired to avoid pain and discomfort. So once you experience pain or discomfort or like a bad experience on one side of polarity is what they call it, on one side of the spectrum, and you experience it on the other side as well, you just naturally end up avoiding both sides, which puts you in the middle. So it's the same thing with this as well. Like the way that I kind of go about things now is a bit of in between, like it's a flow state kind of, because one side is super masculine. When I say masculine, I'm not talking about man and like angry and shouting and shit like that. Like I don't know what people think about that stuff nowadays. And feminine as well. And feminine's not, you know, wearing skirt or painting your nails or none of that. Like both of these things are energies and principles that are seen everywhere. And, you know, the masculine side of planning everything, having everything structured, but then the feminine side of complete flow, not having any structure. It's a divine balance in between. That's where the true flow, the true peace, the true joy comes in when it comes to doing your work, being productive, all of those things. Also, another thing that rarely anyone talks about is everyone talks about doing action, but another key part is doing nothing as well. Like resting, recovering. So many people know this in training, whether it's weightlifting or whatever. Like everyone knows you should rest in sports, rest your body after you've done intense exercise. But after you've just done an intense, you know, work session or a deep dive or learning or studying, like no one rarely talks about the rest that you have to do mentally as well, or the rest that you have to even take away from the grind sometimes. Like I know you've probably heard there's so many like people like Albert Einstein and, you know, geniuses in different fields, music artists, painters and stuff. Like so many of them, like there's a common reoccurring theme in a lot of stories that they tell is that they may have been thinking or focusing on a specific problem or a specific aspect of, you know, their craft. But it wasn't until they rested, that they went on a walk, that they took a nap, that they chilled, that the actual answer that they were looking for the whole time came to them. Because it's a divine balance between the masculine and the feminine, the action, the going, the assertiveness, and then also the relaxation, the drawing back, the allowing of whatever you're seeking to find you. It's the same thing with self-improvement, man. Like a big problem in self-improvement and like the red pill space and a lot of these videos, especially targeted to young men, is that they completely miss out the feminine aspect. And again, feminine has nothing to do with wearing skirts, pink, dress, girls. It's an energy, it's a principle. When you hear feminine, think of flow, spirituality, openness, allowing, rest, kindness, openness. I think I already said that. Creativity. And then the masculine principles, you know, assertiveness, action, drive, confidence, poise, doing, you feel me? Like there's a divine balance between both. And that's what's missing from the space, man. That's why self-improvement's broken, because it fails to recognize the feminine aspect, the feminine energies that allow us to recover, that allow us to grow and improve, just like muscles. How we allow them to recover, relax, so that we can get back into the weight room or get back into whatever, even better, even stronger, even faster than before. Because just like nature, we all go through internal seasons and cycles. There is a season for intensive learning, consuming books, and just continuously doing. But then there's also a season for marination and application, letting all the information and the knowledge marinate and applying what you've been learning. If you feel an internal resistance or like you just feel like you don't even want to do it anymore in terms of watching videos, reading books, then listen to your intuition. Your intuition's literally telling you that you know enough right now for where you are on your journey to stop consuming and start creating, to stop listening to other people and to start creating your own story. Stop reading books and start reading the chapter of your own life. And this sounds ironic because watching this video now, but it's true, man. a lot of the time, the best self-improvement comes in solitude, when you're not listening to anything outside of you or listening to other people, but listening to yourself, your inner voice, because that inner voice knows you better than anyone else. Emotions are signals. Emotions are like a sat nav. Like, they're there to guide you in the right direction. So whenever you're feeling good, thinking or doing something or in an environment, that's communication from your higher self or your spirit or intuition or God or Allah, Jesus, Buddha, Yahweh, whatever you believe in, or your future self. It's communication from that entity that you're going in the right direction. And the opposite is true as well. Whenever you're feeling bad or down, doing something, thinking something, or in an environment, it's a sign and communication that you're going in the wrong direction, or whatever's around you is not aligned with your future or where you're supposed to be. And for me, this was so plain and obvious when I stopped gaming. You know, I used to be a no-life gamer, all-nighters, whether it was FIFA, Weekend League, Foot Champs, Pro Clubs, or Fortnite duo squads, or COD. You know, I used to be a banger on COD. I was a nerd, so I used to play GBs. If you're a real OG, you know what GBs are. I don't even know if that still exists, but yeah, man, I used to play a game all the time. And initially I used it as an escape, as a way out from my environment. You know, I grew up in the ends. I experienced a lot of trauma and adversity in childhood, so that PlayStation was my safe haven for real. So I used it as an escape, but when it came time to stop escaping my emotions, stop escaping my thoughts and start embracing who I truly was, you know, this was all happening around my spiritual awakening around 17. So when it came time to really open up and look inside my darkness, all the things that once were part of my identity, I no longer enjoyed. I no longer felt good playing PlayStation. I no longer felt like good being around certain people. And it's because I was growing, and it's because my intuition and my spirit was telling me that these things are not aligned with where you're trying to go. It's not aligned with the things that you want out of life. So I took that on and eventually got to a point where I got rid of a lot of things and I guess sacrificed or killed my old self in order to get to where I am now and continue going to where I'm going. But that's just an example of using your emotions as signals, as cues, and not suppressing them, not ignoring them. So another bullshit thing that I see online now is ignoring reality and ignoring your emotions and man up and all of this shit. Like, the more you suppress your emotions, the more you ignore them, is the more you suppress them back into yourself. The more that you ignore reality is the more that you ignore yourself, because reality is a reflection of you. What you see on the external is a reflection of what's happening internally. So the more you ignore reality, the more you ignore your emotions, the more you're ignoring the actual things that are holding you back, that could potentially be holding you back. So instead of ignoring, suppressing, or trying to run away from emotions, embrace them, feel them, sit with them, process them, especially as men, man. Because, you know, we're taught we have to be men, you have to man up, no emotions, no crying, no this and that. I'm not saying you have to cry like that, but if you need to do that, if you feel you need to do that, do it, man. You feel me? Like, crying is a form of release as well. Emotions are a signal, man. So even me, I take my own advice. I use my emotions as signals. So ever since the start of this year, 2026, I haven't read a single new book. Like, we're in what, August? I think today's the 1st of August. We are, you know, over halfway through the year, and I haven't read a single new book this year. Not even an old one. I think I finished one book in January that I was already reading from 2025, but I haven't read any new books. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, but I've been chill on it because I knew it was my intuition, it's my spirit telling me that I need to stop consuming and start creating. Because this is coming from someone, in 2024, I read 45-ish books. I think like 40 physical ones and like 5 ebooks or something, but I averaged over like, what? That's over 3 books a month. So I was going through a book like every week, nearly, basically. And by the end of the year, yeah, I felt good and yeah, I read all these books, but then I realized, it's just like mental masturbation. Like, you get to a point where you realize you're just consuming information just to consume. Like, your brain's getting dopamine and thinking that you're actually progressing and doing stuff just by learning or intaking information. But if you don't do anything with that information, it's like you're doing it for no reason. And I had to check myself on that as well. Like, you've read 40 plus books, and yeah, I don't just read books and put them down. I apply them to life, and a lot of those books I read, I applied to life, and they greatly benefited me at the time where I was in my journey. But I was spending more time consuming information in 2024 than actually doing the work. And that is something that a lot of us fall into, and something that you may have fell into or even be in right now, where you find yourself consuming more than you're creating. So whenever you feel that internal resistance, whenever you like stop enjoying watching self-improvement or watching whatever videos or reading certain books, like you literally feel this internal resistance. Whenever you feel that, listen to it, man. That's your intuition literally telling you what to do. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop listening to these gurus, stop reading books, stop just constantly searching for more, constantly looking for problems to solve, because you'll create more problems to solve. Stop searching outside of you and start looking inside of yourself, because that's where the true nuggets, that's where the true gems are found. You feel me? I believe true spirituality, true self-improvement is independence or interdependence, because we're all part of this world and this collective. So interdependence, independence within a larger group. Having the confidence to know that you know enough, having the confidence in yourself and loving yourself to the point where you know that whatever you decide is best for you and not what someone else tells you. Yeah, you can listen to other people and their advice and this and that, but at the end of the day, you gotta use your own discretion and come to your own conclusions. So, I love this saying, which I came up with, but, we're all scientists. We're all scientists in this lab of life. And because we're all scientists, experimentation is the prerequisite to wisdom. Let me say that again. We're all scientists in this lab of life. And it's experimentation that's the prerequisite to wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. You truly know something as truth after you've experienced it, after you've experimented, after you've tested it. So if you're someone who loves, scientific studies and articles and these peer-reviewed things, stop just taking the experiments as truth and start experimenting on the experiments. If it tells you 8 hours is the best amount of sleep, try 6, try 7, try 9. See what works for you. Document how you feel each time you try different things. And then you'll come to this pure truth that is based on you and how you're wired and how you're created. And no one can take that away from you and no one can tell you any different. I have a certain morning routine that kind of changes throughout the years, depending on what season I'm in, whether I'm in, grind mode in business or whether I'm in a receptive mode, like I'm receiving downloads. But the, structure or basis of it is synchronizing spirit, mind, and body. So as soon as I wake up, the first thing I do is give gratitude to God that I've woken up. I'll have a drink of water, then I'll immediately go into meditation. And my definition of meditation is just going within. So I'll just lie down and I allow all the thoughts that I may have to just process. Any thoughts that I have. Sometimes if I find myself scrolling or doom scrolling the night before, if I wake up, I feel it. There's a million thoughts racing through my mind and it's chaos. But once I do this observation, meditation, where I'm just lying down and just observing my thoughts, almost like a movie, like I'm just watching everything go past. After about 15, 20 minutes, everything just stills. And I enter almost like this void of nothingness. And to me, that's where true peace is, where it's just nothingness. Like, it's black, you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, you don't think anything. You're just so in the present moment. You're in this like dark void where it's like nothing exists. Like you don't even sense your body, like it's a true blissful state. But that's what I do in the morning. And I also, I meditate sometimes I read, but as I said before, I haven't read this whole year because my intuition's just been telling me not to. So, yeah, man. Self-improvement is broken without the addition of the feminine principles: creativity, relaxation, gratitude, openness, allowing, rest, recovery. Without all of those things, without that missing piece, you'll continue to feel miserable. You'll continue to be this perfectionist and feel like you're not good enough and you're never where you want to be. You have to give yourself grace and self-love, man. That's another, part of the feminine principles is self-love. That's why women are so great at it. And you see so many, female YouTubers and content creators that make content on self-love. And it seems like they're the only ones making content on self-love because so many men, I don't know, feel like it's, weird or childish or, not masculine, but you need it, man. Because all them times when you're alone, when you're grinding, when it's late at night or early in the morning, it's only you, yourself, and yeah, it's only you and yourself. So you have to practice giving yourself grace, giving yourself self-love. This self-improvement journey is not just about constantly being on an incline or constantly going up or being on a trajectory. It's also about navigating the downs as well, man. We live in a world that's governed by universal laws, one of them being the law of rhythm. And the law of rhythm states that there's a constant ebb and flow to life. The ups and downs, the seasons, the cycles. It's a part of everything in life, man. In business, you got the recession, the boom, the business cycles. In nature, you've got summer, winter, autumn. In our bodies, we have a circadian rhythm. Like there's a rhythm and a flow to life. I also heard the saying that, the beginning of wisdom is the acceptance of the universal laws that govern reality. So really understanding the law of rhythm, understanding that you're not supposed to feel happy all the time. You're not supposed to be high vibrational all the time. Like we live in a world where that just doesn't exist. And tying on with the law of rhythm is the law of polarity, where there's equal and opposing sides to almost anything, hot and cold, up and down, happy, sad, in, out. Like the law of rhythm and the law of polarity working hand in hand. They work together. And truly understanding that and accepting that as a universal law and just a fact of life is how you navigate those downs. By knowing that it's only temporary, you're not going to be there forever. And during them downs, it's essential that you give yourself grace and you find some sort of, something higher than you or something that is more than you to confide in. So for me, that's God, man. Through the downs, through the lows, every time I'm feeling like shit, the first thing I think of is just going to God, man. Whether it's prayer, whether it's just a mental conversation, however best for you, man. It doesn't have to be God, it can be whatever you believe in, as I said before. But truly self-improvement is not just about this constant trajectory, it's also about navigating the lows because they're inevitable. Adversity is another law of this universe. In order to grow, sometimes you have to go through adversity. It's not, what's the word I'm looking for? I lost the word, it will come back to me. But, adversity doesn't have to always happen before growth. You can grow without it, but a lot of the times it's just a reality of this world that we live in. Sometimes you have to go through setbacks and failure and things to learn, to grow, to improve, to evolve. But yeah, man, I feel like the missing piece of self-improvement is the feminine side, the feminine aspect, the relaxation, the chillness, just the gratitude for being here, for being alive, for being present. Like just appreciating the things you have, man. Sitting back and reflecting. I feel like that's missing from self-improvement. And that's why so many of you and why even me at one point just felt broken. Even whilst I was watching all these videos about how to improve yourself, how to be happier, just felt broken, felt lost, felt, down. Felt like I wasn't good enough when I didn't reach the standards I set for myself. So yeah, man, I hope this video helps. Think about all the ways that you can add more relaxation or add more creativity, add more gratitude or openness to your life. And do the file on self exercise that I recommended, man. Have a notes on your phone or have a notepad, and throughout the day, just document all these observations about yourself. Not only will this improve your awareness in the moment, but it will also help you just know yourself better, know your patterns, the way you think, the way you move, how certain foods affect you cognitively and physically. Like, that's the true self-improvement, man. The self-knowledge. Because then when you have that self-knowledge and you know that self, it's easy to have balance. It's easy to know what's best for you. And then you'll get to a point where you come to YouTube or you come to books already knowing what the best thing is for you, but you still have this open mind where there's maybe a potential where maybe I could learn something new, but I'm not going into this video actively seeking like something. Like, I already have the confidence in knowing that whatever I know now is enough. And your intuition, your spirit, your higher self will let you know that, man. Don't try, ignore, or suppress how you feel. Pay attention to it. It's trying to tell you something. It's trying to guide you in the right direction. So listen to it, man. The last thing I want to mention is just be less serious, man. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, this whole self-improvement thing is like so try-hardish. Like, just chill, man. Just bake, relax. You feel me? Like, I like to think of it like all of the like things that you're great at, all the things that you're naturally good at in life. Like, you're not super serious at. You might almost be like nonchalant about it. Like, you're just good at it naturally. Like, whilst you're doing it, you just feel like you're in this effortless flow. And it's because there's no seriousness to it, man. Like, being in a childlike state, you know, imagination, play, exploration, curiosity. This is where growth lies as well, man. So lean into that. Stop being so serious. Stop being so serious, man. It's not that deep, for real. This is even coming from someone who is technically, physically not, doesn't have certain things, but once you get to this certain point of inner conviction and inner knowing, and you've, you know, visualized things so many times, you get to a point where you don't even care about not having certain things, not even having the things that you want, because internally you already have them. Mentally, you've already seen it. I should be pointing here. You've already seen it, you've already experienced it, you've already felt it. So it's like you don't even need it physically anymore. And that's the point where you truly manifest, man. You truly get the things that you want, where you no longer need them. You feel me? But yeah, man, I feel like I'm starting to dive into different topics. So it's time to end this video. But yeah, man, self-improvement is broken. But it's not broken once you remember the feminine aspects and you add them onto the self-improvement. The creativity, the flow, the gratitude, the being in the present moment, the openness. You feel me?